Hi, my name is Jessica Haggis, and I'm going to be a first year at Bates College in Maine. I'm a member of the Marin Teen Mental Health Board. It is an organization that was founded in 2006, and it is made up of students, parents, just adults in general, mental health professionals, and it was created around the idea of helping students, primarily teenagers, with depression awareness and suicide prevention. And we're trying to go at the approach through a teen-to-teen aspect because we realize that sometimes going in through the administration aspect doesn't always work out. And we know that kids open up the most to their friends. They are very good at hiding their emotions, and often do so to their parents and teachers and coaches and so on. So we wanted to educate their friends, their teenage friends, so that they can then talk to their friends about what's going on. Talking about why we're interested and so involved in all of this was I've realized that in high school, it can be such a difficult and stressful time for kids, and they need help every once in a while. And also 30% of high school students have a mental health disorder, and 80% of people will have it in their lifetime. So it shows just how prevalent this issue is. It's not just one person who has it. And a mental health disorder includes stuff like bipolar, schizophrenia, drug, alcohol abuse, stress, suicide ideation, depression, eating disorders, all of those. And those are all screened for in Teen Screen. Teen Screen is a program that has been implemented into a few of the public high schools in Marin, and it is all about it's a questionnaire online that sophomore students take, and it shows if they have one of these mental health disorders so that they can then get the help that they need. When presenting to parents, I often talk about how my parents have helped me through everything. This is, of course, going to be different for everyone. For me, I say how my parents helped me solve problems and how that has been such a stress reliever for me. If I'm encountered with a difficult problem, I sit down with them and explain to them the situation, and then they help me logically figure out a solution so that I don't have to deal with everything by myself. I've got a support system going on. And also, they help me make choices. They present me with multiple options to a solution, and then it's me who chooses it. So I then know the consequences of every option, but yet it's ultimately my choice as to what I'm going to choose, as to what I choose. So they feel comfortable with my decisions, but yet I feel like I'm actually in control. And lastly, I always try to emphasize to parents the fact of listening to their children, because it's not the children's fault, and they always need that help and that support. And if the parent realizes just how important it is to talk with their children and realize that it's not their fault, then that goes a long way. When I present to students, I talk about the symptoms, and this is sometimes I re-emphasize the whole 30% statistics, saying that it is so common and it's not your fault, and it is completely normal. It is in the DNA. And so I then approach it as if I'm talking to the audience as if they're the friend. So I say things like, as a friend, make sure that they know that you deeply care about them, and then go with them to the first appointment, be with them, because at this point in time they feel so alone and have no idea what's going on, completely confused. And if you're there helping them along the way, it makes everything so much more important, and you kind of give them someone, you are someone for them then to live for if they've lost faith within themselves. And you must always take your friends seriously. Often kids say phrases like, man, I have so much homework, I could just kill myself, or like, I'm so stressed out, I just want to die. Sometimes those are just stress relieving phrases, but oftentimes it is a cry for help, and it is someone's trying to make it apparent that they need help, but without doing it bluntly. And so if one of your friends says something like that, it is important to take them aside, just one-on-one, talk with them, saying, you know what, like, I really care for you. Is there something going on? Do you want to talk about anything? They may open up to you completely, they may completely brush you off, but it's the fact that you're showing interest in them and that you show that you really care for them. And also, as a friend, realize that if they're going through something like this, it's not something that they can just snap out of. It is something that is just happening and they have no idea what's going on, and if you can just be there to support them, that'd be a great step forward. And if one of your friends does end up opening up to you, it is important to go and talk to an adult immediately. Something like this is very, very stressful and very emotionally, it impacts you strongly, and it is not your job to deal with it all the way. Like, you need to let a counselor or a teacher or a parent know about this, because it is something that needs to be dealt with on that level, and especially for the counselors, it is their job to deal with stuff like this. So you need to realize that it's not all the stress and pressure should be on you to figure it out. At this point in the presentation, I'd then talk with the students and see if they could make a list, like on the board, on the background, as to where they could go for help. And then I'd write it down. So it would be things like teacher, parent, coach, older sibling, counselor, any trusted adult. And I'd also talk about the symptoms and do the same thing where I'd make a list on the background, and it'd be symptoms just like giving items of clothing away or just any personal objects, starting to talk about it more frequently, starting to call up loved ones in a way to say goodbye, starting to sleep a lot more or sleep a lot less, eating a lot more, eating a lot less. Just those types of symptoms that often are a cry for help, but you wouldn't really notice if you weren't looking. Then also there's something called the deadly promise. The deadly promise is when someone says, when a friend comes up to you and says, all right, I have a secret and you must promise me to keep it. Now, this is a very tricky situation because you want to say yes, you'll keep it so that you'll gain their trust. But if they come forward with saying something like, I'm thinking about committing suicide, promise you won't tell anyone, you have to say no. You have to say, I will not keep that promise because I care too much about you. They may hate you for going and telling an adult about this because they're going to be feeling so alone, and they thought that they were going to you for comfort and support, and they might not realize at that time just how much you're helping them. But the fact is if you do keep the promise and you don't tell anyone, then this person could end up committing suicide, and you would be living with that guilt for the rest of your life. So although you may lose the trust of your friend for a short time, they're going to have their whole life to repay you and regain that friendship. And it's something that you can't promise to say. You can't keep that secret. It needs to be let out. And then we come to the end of the presentation, and this is often when people in the audience ask questions. If it's an audience of adults, they often ask way more questions than an audience of students. And the adults often ask questions concerning parental advice. This is often a tricky place because you're not really in the position to give advice, and I highly discourage doing so because every family is different, every situation is different, and you don't know the background to most of it. But you can give them resources to go to, and there's often a mental health professional with you at a presentation, and so it's good to refer those people to them. And at the very end, make sure to tell them about when the monthly meetings are, the time, date, place, and also make sure to try to get as many people as you can to put their name and email on the email list so that they can get more information about everything that's going on. Alright, thank you.